Live from Bob Van Impe Stadium in Saskatoon, Canada, you're watching the 2015 WBSC Men's Softball World Championship right here on Sports Canada TV. I'm Jim Flanagan here with my broadcast colleague Blair Setford from Ballpark Broadcasting. Blair, welcome.
Thanks, Jim. Couple of surprise starters tonight. Heine Shannon and Melvin Batista for the Dominican Republic. Both of us a little bit surprised that they're not going with the hard throwers. Looks like they're going to try to junk them to death tonight.
Well, I think in the case of the Dominican Republic, that is the reason Shannon is throwing. They've got a lot of hitters in that lineup. They've got 11 hits out of one, 7 out of another, and then about 6 guys in a row that all have 5 hits. So I think the thought process is that they would like to see a harder thrower like Hayes, so we'll throw Mr. Shannon at them.
Jim will set the defense for the Dominican Republic. Left to right around the outfield, it's Julio Diaz, Angel and Santana in center, Pablo Ortiz in right. On the infield, it's Juan Tomas Nunez at third, Randy Alvarez at short, Jose Bueno playing second base today, Serge Lajose at first, and it is Melvin Batista throwing to Freddie Moretta. Ben Anoka settles in, takes a called strike, and we're underway here at about 9:23, 9:24 p.m.
Couple of the double life teams, the Dominican Republic coming in as the top seed in Pool B. New Zealand, after a slow start, going 1-2, bounce back, grab that other double life, so they are the 2 seed in the A pool.
Chopper, that's going to get through the 5.5 hole. Ben Anoka, plenty of wheels, big turn, another step, and he'll retreat back to first base. So Benny Anoka gets things going here. And Jim, you talked about the slow start. Benny Anoka characterizes that perfectly for New Zealand. It took him until game 3 to get on track, but the hits are coming more and more frequently for Benny.
Ever since the high socks, that's when he started hitting. At this point, he's got 3 home runs, 6 hits, now 7. So back to what most people expected out of the youngster.
Jerome Ramacki slaps this one up in the air. Randy Alvarez will retreat back to the edge of the dirt and gather that one in for the first out of the inning. Jim, for New Zealand tonight, they got to get the most out of Heine Shannon. If he can get through the order once or maybe even twice, that would be great for him. Scoring early will be key for New Zealand and force the DR into mistakes. This is a bit of an inexperienced team. They haven't been to an ISF or a WBSC event since 2000. They've surprised a lot of people here. In some eyes, they've overachieved. And for New Zealand, they got to use the experience that they've got and force the DR into mistakes.
On the other side of the ledger, the Dominican Republic, of course, must stay out of that big inning. Also, a part of that is avoiding the long ball from the Black Sox. They are among the leaders of teams with home runs. Also need to follow that cool, calm leadership of Frankie Perez. Forget about who they're playing. If anyone doesn't think they're for real, look at the schedule they played in the round robin. They beat Australia. They beat Venezuela. That's the silver and bronze medalists from the last go-round. Throw in Japan, another playoff team. So they have beaten 3 quality contenders. They just have to take each team, forget about who they are, forget that they're playing the gold medalists.
Thomas Anoka comes in here among the leaders for the Black Sox, batting .412, has the most hits with 7, a couple of home runs, but 7 big RBIs for Thomas in the 3 spot. And he and brother Benny, along with Nate Nuku, the captain for the Black Sox, have really been leading this squad, helping everybody else get up to speed.
The Anokas have more hits and RBIs than some of the clubs coming through.
Had a good chance to meet the Anoka's father, as there's a number of Black Sox parents. Most of them are camped out in center left field. And Terry Ramacki out there as well. Well, Thomas Anoka is going to go down on strikes. Our home plate umpire tonight is Serge Laflemme from Canada. First base, it's Keith Cook from the United States. At second, it's Galip Somnes from Germany. Over at third base, it's Terry Richter from Canada. And the off-field official tonight is John Hand from the United States. Jim, one of the things we've been talking a lot about this week is experience. Nobody here with more experience than this guy, Brad Rona, playing in his 5th Men's World Softball Championship.
Well, certainly advantage Black Sox in that department. The Dominican Republic turning a lot of heads. Nobody really had them on the radar, even expecting them to make it into the playoff round. They were sort of in a mid-tier, might battle for a spot, and knocked off some big teams in the process and wind up number 1 in their pool.
Brad has been getting a lot of walks. I had a chat with him yesterday afternoon after they finished up their round robin. Would like to be swinging the bat more, but he's got a great eye, and right now he's just happy to take the walks and to get on base.
Well, I think you come in here with a name like his, several cycles here in the formerly ISF WBSC. Everybody knows him. Everybody pitches carefully to him. So
the winds have suddenly really picked up here in Saskatoon. It is blowing out to dead center field. Anoka on the run, slides in, called out. And that's it for the Black Sox. They'll leave Brad Rona at the plate. Benny Anoka caught stealing by Freddie Moretta. We'll head to the home half of the first. Scoreless, Dominican coming to the plate.
home half of the first inning for the Dominican Republic. They'll start things off with Jose Bueno. He'll be followed by Juan Tomas Nunez, and the big hitter for the club, Pablo Figueroa Ortiz. Serge Lahoz in the 4th spot. Melvin Cruz hitting 5th. Angel Santana in the 6th spot. Freddie Moretta in 7. Julio Diaz 8. And Renat Alvarez in the 9 spot. Setting the defense for the Black Sox in the outfield, Thomas Inoka, Benny Noka, and Nathan Nukunuku left to right on the screen. Starting at 3rd in the infield, Jerome Remaki, Cole Evans at short, Tyson Byrne back in the lineup. Possible return from an injury. Brad Rona at 1st behind the plate, Stephen Retu, and Heine Shannon in the circle, the lefty for the Black Sox. Wayne Laulu will be the DP. Little slow roller up the middle, comes across the bag. Nice play by the 17-year-old Cole Evans.
Evans staying in the lineup with the return of Tyson Byrne. Byrne moves over to second base. Ramaki to 3rd. The odd man out is Josh Harbrow, who's actually done a good job of sticking the ball the last couple of games. but opting to keep the 17-year-old in despite the fact that he's hitless so far in the tournament. You just saw why for defense like that.
Here's Juan Tomas Nunez, the third baseman for the DR. Comes in with 5 hits, one of about 6 or 7 players on this club with 5 hits. One of the keys for the Dominican Republic is to get runners on in front of the 3-4 hitters, Ortiz and Lajos. They are the RBI men, so that is key to their success here today.
Jim, there's some guys on Canada having great tournaments. Nobody better perhaps than Jason Hill, but quietly Pablo Figueroa Ortiz is having a spectacular tournament here for the Dominicans.
So Nunez at the plate trying to get on board for Ortiz and Lajos. Outfield straight away, the flags blowing straight back towards us, so blowing in from the outfield. Shannon missing away. 3-man pitching staff for the Black Sox. Nick Hayes considered by some to be the ace, but Shannon pitching very well. Very good outing against Canada, who is still unbeaten. Fly ball to shallow center field. Benny will camp under it and make the catch. Benny Noka. 2 up and down quickly. And that will bring up Mr. Ortiz, the top hitter for this Dominican Republic club. Comes in with a .458 average, 2 home runs, 11 hits, 6 RBI, and coming up with the bases empty. Foul tip. Wonder whether the left-handed factor, too, might be part of the thinking by skipper Mark Sorensen for the Black Sox in throwing Shannon, trying to do something to offset Ortiz's hot hitting.
Might be. They've got a pretty good mix of lefties and righties on this Dominican lineup. So what I'm guessing more so is what you said off the top, Jim. It's going to be the mix of spins and curves and changes that Heine Shannon throws rather than the hard stuff of Nick Hayes and Kurt Schalem especially.
One hopper out to second. He'll underhand it. That's Byrne over to Brad Rona for the out. So the side retired quickly in the first. We'll head to the second. No score in this one. New Zealand and the Dominican Republic in a double life game.
So Brad Rona will return to the plate for the New Zealand Black Sox here in the top of the second inning. Brad was at the plate when Beninoka was caught stealing to end the top of the first. Scoreless as we head into the top of the second inning. Brad just a couple of hits, but as we talked about, 5 walks. And so getting on base for skipper Mark Sorensen and company. Always had the good eye at the plate. So that was strike 2 as the scoreboard now showing the correct count. Got a little ahead of ourselves there with the strikes. And Brad waves over the top of that changeup. And that's what you can expect from Melvin Batista. He's got a world-class changeup. He's not going to throw the ball by you that often, but everything else gets set up by that changeup. And if you're looking for that, he can sneak something by you. Nathan Nukunuku, the skipper for New Zealand, and their leading hitter at 462. Nate was a late addition to the 2013 team that won in Christchurch. And comes in here in 2015, taking over as the captain as Reese Casely retired, going out a world champion.
Nukunuku went that cycle from not even being on the squad to playing a big role in that win down in Auckland.
Well, we saw this right from the very start as they got behind in the Argentina game. And Nate with a home run to get them close. And then, of course, it was Thomas Anoka who would tie that game. The Black Sox would go on to lose it, but setting the tone early was Nukunuku. Hard hit ball fielded by Jose Bueno. And this is going to be one of the keys for the Dominican Republic as well. They've got to play really good defense, basically error-free, because when you start throwing the ball around or kicking the ball around, the New Zealand Black Sox will make you pay. We saw that with the Czech Republic game yesterday at the end of the round robin. The Czech Republic, Jim, you and I watched them play a couple of games this week. Very good defense, and it just kind of fell apart against New Zealand. 4 big errors, and they never really recovered. Same thing today against Japan.
I was just going to say the Japan game, we had the broadcast on that one, uncharacteristic 4 errors. You have to stay with what gets you there.
Wayne Laulu swinging hard, almost coming out of the shoes. Wayne had probably one of the 3 biggest home runs here this week. The left field foul pole, he dinged one off that foul pole about, I don't know, I want to say 60, 65 feet up, and was going to be the longest home run of the game until Luis Valleda parked one into the VIP parking lot. And if you've been on Facebook, you've probably seen Luis Valleda's celebration after that Titanic home run. Some mixed feelings about it. I know in New Zealand they didn't like it, but a lot of people up here thought it was great. A career highlight for Luis Valleda, something he'll be telling his grandchildren about, no doubt, and I'm sure the tale of the tape will get longer every time it's told.
It's a great thing about Facebook and all the other social media. It's everywhere. It's like having an editing department. We see people taking video off their television sets.
Laulu scorches this one right back up the middle, taking a big turn. And he'll backpedal to first. So the second hit of the game for the Black Sox, Wayne Laulu, a 2-out single here in the top of the second inning. That'll bring up Steven Ratu, the catcher. And Jim, some of the interaction we've had with the fans over the course of the week, it's just been tremendous. A lot of the constant viewers, Aaron Trude and people like that. There's a lot of people in New Zealand and Australia that are tuning in for their games, and we appreciate every single one of you joining us here this week on Sports Canada TV and Ballpark Broadcasting.
Ran into umpire Bob Henning out in the tent, out in the outfield today. He's here just in from the Philippines. Bob, of course, native of British Columbia. Said his internet connection was a little slow. He decided to come see it in person.
Bob's last game as an umpire was the gold medal game here. He did first base in that game. His last plate was the winner's bracket final on the Friday night. Kyle Smith and I had a good conversation with Bob Henning shortly after he arrived in the park here this afternoon. And great to see Bob in person. It's been quite a while since I've had the opportunity to sit and chat with Bob. Two balls and a strike. Batista finding the outside corner. And this is where the Dominican pitchers have lived. It's been on the outside corner. You and I did the game yesterday with Venezuela, and Volquez just picked apart the corners. Doug Charlton of Southwest Ontario has been working with this team. He went down to the Dominican, worked with them for a week earlier in the spring. And Doug Charlton was a guy who threw hard, but he also picked apart those corners. And I'm sure that's what he told the guys. This is where you're going to have success. You can't leave anything out over the plate to these top hitters.
Well, I think the success for the Dominican Republic starts with the leaders. You've got cool, calm Frankie Perez, Paul Chico McCart, and Doug Charlton, the North American brain trust, so to speak.
Jim, joining the audience this evening has been Todd Martin, who's been blowing up Twitter with his tweets here this evening. Very active during the Canada game, inciting a flame war and perhaps a trade war with New Zealand. So 2 down and a single and now a walk. And working into a bit of trouble is Batista. Cole Evans, the 17-year-old at the plate, still looking for his first hit. This will be an opportune time.
Cole, one of the ISF junior men's players from last summer up in Whitehorse, and here he is playing, not only playing, but starting in the senior men's division.
Change up and away as the wind gusts across the infield. You see some of the dust there blowing across, and the New Zealand flag.
Evans just turning 17 as this tournament began. Skipper Mark Sorensen, of course, played at the age of 16, so perhaps part of the background on why he was willing to take a chance on a youngster like Cole Evans.
I honestly think that's had something to do with it. Mark remembers the experience that he had as a 16-year-old, the opportunity that he was given, and seeing something similar in Cole Evans, who dominated the national championships in New Zealand back in their ball season. And having the moxie to work a walk with 2 out and load the bases. And Mark Sorensen's done a good job with his batting order, protecting the 17-year-old with the veteran Tyson Byrne at the bottom.
Blair, here's one of the things we talked about. One of the keys for the DR to succeed is to stay out of the big inning, and Frankie Perez is going to come out and pay a visit.
Frankie Perez is the owner of the slowest amble from the dugout to the bench.
Well, we see on the sideline his relief pitchers getting up and ready, so maybe part of that equation, give his guys time to start getting loose.
Yeah, both Volquez and Perez were throwing pre-game, and I would have to guess it's got to be Volquez after the outing he had yesterday. Perez has not been very good coming on in relief. In fact, he's been disastrous a couple of times that we've seen him, hitting batters, walking batters, and really after the game that we saw yesterday, I think Volquez has got to be the guy.
No doubt Volquez with an ERA of 1.21 compared to Bautista's 3+. He's been the ace.
And that inside corner called strike 1 to Tyson Byrne. Tyson tweaked something or injured something in the quad or maybe the hamstring in the Canada game. Hasn't been seen since. Now timed by Serge Lefebvre at the plate. And we'll reset and get back to go. Change up, swinging right through that one, Tyson Byrne.
He's got a good one, but that is also the pitch that Josh Johnson hit out for a 3-run homer. That's the only dent in the armor for the DR. That was a 6-4 USA win. Their only loss, the Dominican Republic.
Just off the outside corner, you saw Serge Lefebvre motion with his left hand just off the outside. So 2 balls, 2 strikes. A big moment here early in the game for the Dominican Republic. Change up, blooper, and there's nowhere to go as that went off the glove of Batista and just died in behind the mound. Picked up by Jose Bueno, but he had no play anywhere, and the Black Sox break out in front.
It was a good pitch, good changeup, but a good job of holding up. Got just enough of it to put it in that no man's land.
So back to the top of the shop, and Jim Flanagan, we talked, as you said, you got to stay away from the big innings. Ben Inoka leading the Black Sox in home runs so far with 3. And they could break this one early here with something into the gap or even over the fence. Called strike, so a ball and a strike. Benny considered by most in the game to be among the top 2 or 3 hitters in the world. Good eye. He obviously can hit for power, but can also put the ball in the gap and might be the fastest guy on the field. This is right back up the middle. They're going to score 1. Here comes 2 and give Ben Inoka 2 RBIs, give the Black Sox a 3-0 lead. Cole Evans was hot on the heels of Steven Ratu coming into home plate. Tyson Byrne up to second base on that 2 RBI single by Ben Inoka. And what all started with 2 outs. This looked to be what could be a very promising inning for the Dominican Republic. Rona striking out Nathan Nuku. A ground out, but the single and a pair of walks, both of which have come around to score. And you can't add to your own misery.
And the walk to Cole Evans, who didn't have a hit in the tournament. If there was an out in the batting order, that might have been it.
Ramaki, a little one-hopper on the infield, step on the bag by Bueno, and they're out of the inning, but not before the Black Sox score 3. And we'll head to the home half of the second inning. New Zealand out in front.
For the Dominican Republic, now on the short end of a 3-0 score, they'll bring up 4, 5, and 6. It'll be Serge Lajos, Melvin Cruz, and Angel Santana. Freddie Moreta, if we get that far. So Heine Shannon with a 3-run cushion thanks to a big inning by the Black Sox. Blair said 2 of those runs coming in on walks. That one, a little flare. Benny will run that one down over in the right center field gap. Out number 1, Serge Lajos retired.
Well, the advantage of a very fleet-of-foot outfielder like Benny Inoka, nothing really is going to fall in.
No substitute for young legs. So both of the big hitters for the Dominican Republic, first time through the batting order, coming up with nobody aboard. They're going to have to put some people in front of them. Right now it's Melvin Cruz stepping in. Melvin, the DP for the DR. The Dominican Republic with one of the highest hit totals in the tournament.
Jim, an illegal pitch called on a Heine Shannon, so we're going to have a do-over for Serge Lahose.
So back in the box he goes.
And a ball on the pitch. So 2-0 count.
Grounder foul.
I noticed this a fair bit during the Canada game. Heine likes to nudge the back foot off of the board and just get a little bit extra push. And you see it right there. He's actually not in contact with the board on that pitch.
Base hit into right field. Moving over to make the play on it, Nathan Nukunuku. So instead of one out and nobody aboard, Lahose at first. So the illegal pitch turns into a 4-out inning. And it'll be Melvin Cruz, the DP for the DR. Swing and a miss late on the pitch outside.
Melvin, one of those guys with 5 hits for the tournament, batting over 300.
Ah, there it is. Good call, Mr. Setford. And great job on the camera work by our friends at Sports Canada TV. Swing and a miss, threw that one by him. So he went downstairs, then came up top. I would presume looking for that ground ball double play.
This is a good candidate, Melvin Cruz. Not exactly fleet of foot in the box.
Swing and a miss late again. Shannon working a outside part of that plate, and down goes Melvin Cruz.
They'll take the strikeout, I'm sure.
So Angel Santana will step in. Angel, the center fielder for the Dominican Republic. Swing and a miss, a little more velocity than I'm used to seeing from Mr. Shannon. Shows bunt, foul tip.
Yeah, Frankie Perez and the Dominicans will surprise you when you're not looking for it and you're not expecting it. They will drop down a bunt. Frankie's just been pressing all the right buttons here this week. Calling for steals, pitching changes, hitting runs.
A couple of suicide squeezes, actually. In two different games he was successful. You and I were on one of those broadcasts.
Yeah, in the Venezuelan game yesterday, just snuck right in behind the catcher, Flores.
Swing and a miss late on that one. So Heine Shannon, not known for velocity, getting the last two batters late swinging on their pitch. So after the leadoff single, the illegal pitch and the leadoff signal, it'll be Freddie Moretta, the catcher, down to the 7 spot. In for a called strike. Moretta looking back at Serge Laflemme, our home plate umpire, as if he didn't think so.
Well, Serge's strike zone so far tonight looks to be a little bit taller than most of the zones we've seen here this week, calling the strike above the belt, which isn't something we've seen a lot of.
Change up and a beauty on the outside edge. So Shannon ahead 0-2. Trying to nibble on that outside edge just a little bit further out. Moretta able to lay off. Julio Diaz on deck if we get that far. Right now, the game at the plate with Moretta. Strike 3 called on the outside edge. And down goes Moretta. 3 strikeout inning after the leadoff single. We played 2. New Zealand on top, 3-0.
Dominican will face Yanier Volquez to lead things off here in the third inning. That was it for Melvin Batista. He works 2. He gives up 4 hits, 3 runs. And right now he is on the hook. Jim, you've got some numbers on Yanier Volquez.
Well, Volquez by far the lowest ERA on the staff, 1.21. He's been the pitcher of record in their big wins over Australia and Venezuela and Japan. He's got 21 Ks in 23 innings, but very effective. Sort of an unorthodox motion. You'll see it on the screen there. Sort of a short arm. A big kid, stands about 6'5" or thereabouts. If he ever figures out how to use the legs and keep that motion, he's going to be trouble.
Thomas Anoka getting people thinking about a bunt. Yeah, when we watched Volquez the other day, you and I both thought that really he's generating all of his power basically on the downstroke of the arm from about the 45-degree mark and down, and really not even using the leg drive. Doug Charlton confirmed that they've been working with him trying to get the legs more involved into his action. But right now, they're happy with the results that they're getting. They'll work on refining his technique over the offseason.
Exactly. You don't change success. It's actually a bit like a slingshot motion, although he does go up and over, but the second half sort of like a golf club coming through.
Yeah.
But a short backstroke, if you will.
Foul tip as Noka left the bat out, but just backing away from that inside offering from Volquez. And this will be a change of pace for the Black Sox. Batista not really breaking panes of glass out there, just throwing the spinners and the change-ups. This guy brings it hard. Swinging over the top, Tommy Anoka down on strikes for the second time tonight.
Well, these Black Sox, of course, including the fella coming up, have seen the hard throwing. But I think what makes Volquez effective is that whip motion that creates that tight spin and that quick late break on the drop. You saw it just there.
While Brad's at the plate, we want to say hi to Amanda Rona and everybody at the listening party down in New Zealand.
That would include my good friend Jason Gerbis up on the big screen.
Ask on the swing, and Terry Richter says yes.
I was trying to do the math in my head, figure out what time it is down in New Zealand.
Sometime next week.
I was going to say, I know it's tomorrow.
Sorry, that's Keith Cook at first base. Terry Richter is on third tonight. Terry Ramaki telling us how cold it is back home in New Zealand, and he just couldn't wait to get up here to Canada where it was hot. And we said to him, well, how cold is it down there? And he's, it's 3, 4, 5 degrees Celsius. Kyle and I just kind of chuckled. 5 Celsius, it gets that cold, does it? You should be here in Saskatoon when it gets to minus 35. He just shivered.
Well, 30 sounds cold to an American like me, an American in Paris here, still trying to learn Celsius. You folks all get excited because it's going to be so hot, and to me, I'm looking for my parka and gloves when it's 30 Fahrenheit.
But you didn't bring them with you this year.
Did not.
Called strike 3. Brad Rona caught looking. And Volquez coming in, doing a job here with 2 outs. But now, this is where they ran into trouble last inning. They got 2 quick outs, and then New Zealand piled on 3. So the key, as always, is getting the final out.
Volquez has been good with the control, too, though. Batista, not as much.
Well, he has come in firing bullets here so far in the 3rd inning. It'll be up to Nathan Nuku to try and break this string that Volquez has gotten onto. The Dominican need a shutdown inning. And this one is lifted high in the air, short left. Coming on to make the catch will be Julio Diaz. And a 1-2-3 inning it is. We'll go to the bottom of the 3rd inning. New Zealand 3, the Dominican no score.
Home half of the 3rd inning for the Dominican Republic, down to the 8-9 spots, back to the top of the order after that. It'll be Julio Diaz, the left fielder, followed by Randy Alvarez, and then Jose Bueno. Gets a bunt down, a good one, making a quick throw across the diamond. Nice play by Ramaki.
Diaz did a great job to get that down as the pitch was up in his ears and almost self-defense.
So to the 9 spot we go, Randy Alvarez. 5 hits in the tournament. One of a half a dozen players on this squad with 5. Swing and a miss on a pitch on the outside part of the plate. Great success Shannon had last inning. 3 strikeouts, working the outside part of that plate. Jim, on the righties.
For the Dominicans right now, Jim, what I'd like to see is just control the swings a little bit. They're really up there ripping away. Everybody's trying to hit the ball over the fence, hit a 5-run home run. Just dial it back a bit. You don't need the 5-run home run. They've done this against Ramon Jones. You put together 4 singles, that's a couple of runs. You're right back in this game.
And that's the kind of offense they've had. I mean, they have hit a number of home runs, but it's been an onslaught of offense, mostly singles, swing and a miss, and they're a good example of what you're talking about, Blair.
Yeah, going after that pitch up and over his head, and that's not going to win you ball games, and that's playing right into the hands of Heine Shannon. The fewer strikes than Heine Shannon has to throw, the better. If he can throw it up over your eyes and you're going to chase, he'll take that every night, every at bat.
Here's Jose Bueno, the leadoff hitter. He's got 6 hits in the tournament, comes in with a .273 average. Late on that one. Right on by on that one. So Shannon quickly ahead 0-2. With the exception of the reset on the illegal pitch and single by LaHose, he's been through the order. Waste pitch upstairs. Left center field gap. He's got a base hit. Big turn, running down to second. Throw comes in. Late. Byrne trying to apply the tag. So some good hustle from the leadoff spot. Bueno with a double, 2-out double.
You're playing with fire, testing the arm of Benny Anoka, but Jose Bueno with a lot of speed and coming in sliding hard.
Didn't break stride coming around first. It was in the gap, but Anoka with that great speed going over to cut it off. Not many better outfielders in the game. Here's Nunez. Nunez also with 5 hits in the tournament. Like to get one here, break that egg.
Yeah, you don't want to go too many innings trailing 3-0 and allow Heine to get into a rhythm. If you can score one here, like we've been talking about, chip away, chip away. Getting one here, too, also would bring up Ortiz with a runner on base.
One-two pitch. Right on by him. Sorry, 1-1 pitch. The scoreboard ahead of things. Now at 1-2. And Nunez is going to call time. You notice his feet, 1 in and 1 out of the box, as required by the rule. Along with that 20-second clock designed to keep things moving. Swing and a miss, a changeup and a beauty. So after throwing the ball by the last 3-4 hitters, Shannon pulls the string, gets out of an inning, strands the runner. We played 3 complete. The score still New Zealand 3 and Dominican Republic nothing.
Wayne Laulu, Stephen Ratu, and Cole Evans, they are the 3 run scorers for New Zealand as the Black Sox holding on to this 3-0 lead into the top of the 4th. And this one way up in the air to left. That's going to come down with ice on it if it comes down at all. There it is. Julio Diaz camps under that. And Wayne Laulu, whether it's a big home run or a big out, he hits them high. Ratu got one of those 2-out walks, came around to score on the hit by Ben Anoka. Benny with 2 RBIs to add to his total tonight. Tyson Byrne also has an RBI. Swing and a miss by Ratu. Ratu seemed to be the catcher in waiting forever behind Patty Shannon the last couple of cycles at the very least, if not longer. And with Patty retiring, going out a world champion along with a couple of other guys after the 2013 win in Auckland, Ratu's opportunity here. He's handled this staff fairly well. I mean, he's obviously got a much different kind of pitching staff than Patty Shannon has worked with over the last few years. Jeremy Manley unavailable for this tournament. So it's been pitching by committee for New Zealand Black Sox, and thought maybe some of our colleagues might have a play on that one, Jim. That getting close to the left side of the press box, which had really become the viewing area for the broadcasters not on duty.
Among the best seats in the house, including ours.
Just off the outside corner. Good look by Stephen Ratu to lay off that pitch. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 1 down here in the inning. The Black Sox kind of cruising right now with this 3-0 lead, looking to add to it here in the 4th. Yanier Volquez, this one is lifted up, and that's going to drift out of play. Yanier Volquez coming on after a shaky second inning by Melvin Batista. And had a real good third, 3 up, 3 down. Got 1 down here in the inning. Swing and a miss. Down goes Stephen Ratu. So that's 5 straight retired by Volquez since he came on. Jim, the day started with the Czech Republic making their championship playoff debut, taking on Japan. Japan broke out in front of that one. They got it up to 8-0. The Czech Republic responding with 3 to keep the game alive, but that would be the final score, 8-3. Japan advancing on in championship play. The Czech Republic making it into the top 8 was their goal. Once they got here, they certainly would have liked to have advanced, and like we talked about earlier, their defense really kind of deserting them today after having been a mainstay for them all week.
Yeah, actually the last couple of days, that tough end of the round robin loss to this New Zealand Black Sox team didn't seem like they had a rebound day.
Swing and a miss by Cole Evans. I like this kid's stroke, though. Boy, he doesn't go up there and get cheated whatsoever, does he?
Does not. Among the leaders on the silver medal Black Sox junior team last summer in Whitehorse, finishing just behind Argentina.
Inside to Evans. After the Japan game, it was Argentina and Venezuela, South American friends and foes. Argentina is short-staffed due to the suspensions that were handed out, and that really didn't come into play, I don't think, although you never know what difference that can make, as this one goes off the glove of the normally sure-handed Randy Alvarez. Tried to play it off to the side rather than getting in front of it, and Cole Evans Jim, in my book, that's an error. I know he's going to want that to be a hit, but an E6 indeed comes up on the scoreboard.
No, he wants his first hit to be a hit. I have an error in my book as well. The speed of Evans coming into play, though. It looked like Alvarez hurrying that throw. He looked up. Evans almost to the bag by the time he gloved it.
So Tyson Byrne, the veteran, coming up again with a runner on base. So the final in the Venezuela-Argentina game, 5-1, as coming on late were the Venezuelans. They got an early lead on the home run by Jorge Lima. Juan Podolicio walking a batter, and then Lima launching one out to straightaway left field. And Carlos Ojeda, another pinch hit home run for Venezuela. That's 2 in the tournament for Ojeda.
Fans will remember that in the qualifier back in November down in Paraná, Argentina, it was Venezuela 1, Argentina 2, and Canada finishing third in that one. So a repeat, Venezuela over Argentina today. They'll move in opposite directions of the bracket.
And this one is poked out to left and making the catch on a line, Julio Diaz. So the reach on an error by Cole Evans is stranded. The Black Sox will turn over the order. They still lead 3-0. We'll head to the home half of the fourth. Halfway through this one, Black Sox 3, Dominican Republic, no score.
Home half of the fourth inning for the Dominican Republic. It'll be 3-4-5, the heart of this order. But for the second time tonight, Ortiz, the top hitter, top RBI man for the club, coming up with nobody on base.
We'll give all the credit to Heine Shannon, just kind of befuddling these batters right now. Heine not noted for the hard stuff, but as you said, Jim, the Dominican has been behind most of the night. And I don't know whether they're trying to sit on the change.
I mean, just to give you an idea of how potent the offense for the Dominican Republic has been during the round robin portion of the tournament, Canada at the top of the team hit leaders have 62 hits. The Dominican Republic right behind them with 55, 20, count them 20 more than New Zealand. But tonight Shannon has had them off balance and has been able to turn up the dial and show a little velocity. The difference in the change of speeds given the Dominican Republic trouble so far. Swing and a miss on a good changeup. We've seen a few from Shannon. So a good choice by Mark Sorensen. I suppose if the Dominican Republic loses tonight, Frankie Perez may be second guessed on holding back his ace Volquez, but just over the hump of the halfway. Swing and a miss, and running him down or not, flips to first for the out.
And Jim, talking about running down, how about that play by Nick Shales in the last game playing second base for Australia? A hard hit up the middle. Matty Waugh on second base for Canada. Shales manages to flag down this hit, and Matty Waugh, with no place to go, takes off for third, and Nick Shales chases down Matty Waugh and catches him about 3 steps from third base.
That's a story he'll remind Matty about for some time to come.
I can't ever recall seeing a defensive play like that.
In for a called strike on LaHose.
Jim, it's Kurt Shalom throwing for New Zealand in their bullpen down the right field line. Nick Hayes almost seems to be the forgotten man here as Mark Sorensen, alternating lefty-righty. But he's favoring the youngsters with Evans and Shalom and the grizzled veteran in Heine Shannon.
You always like to play the game that's on the field in front of you right now. Can't help wondering whether that may be holding Hayes back for the start. Shalom actually has very good numbers on a innings pitch to strikeout ratio, but has not been successful here in Saskatoon. Most of his stints have been very short. So I guess if there's a second guessers club out, that would give them something to talk about. Right now it's LaHose at the plate. Still one out in the inning. So both of the big boppers, Ortiz and LaHose, coming up with nobody aboard. Not what Frankie Perez, the skipper for this club, wanted. LaHose came in with a .368 average, 7 hits in the tournament, and he's not even the top hit leader on the team. Shannon missing upstairs, and it'll run the count to 3-2.
None of those hits was bigger than the home run against Ramon Jones yesterday against Venezuela to put the Dominican out in front 2-0, give them a bit of breathing room in that game with Venezuela, and ultimately propel them to first place in the pool.
Little slow roller over Byrne, bobbles it, picks it up and throws, and LaHose slowing down over there.
I think he came up lame, to be honest. Either that or he just thought that Byrne was going to gobble that up. But
Byrne bobbled it, and
Serge really slowed down in the last 5 steps before. And now we're going to get the coach over to ask about Serge. In fact, nope, that's just going to be a pinch runner. He's going to hand off the helmet and head back to the bench. So number 9 for the Dominican Republic.
Looks like Stalin Rosario.
Stalin Rosario, indeed.
So Rosario in the 4 slot. That'll bring up Melvin Cruz. Cruz out swinging on strikes, his first trip against Shannon. And again, swinging late on the pitch. Shannon likes to work the outside edge on the right-handers and also seems to throw a little harder for that pitch on the outside part of the plate. That's the one he's been throwing by the hitters for the DR. New Zealand, as we said, started the week 1 and 2. Losses to 2 other playoff teams, Canada and Argentina. But they have bounced back. Their lone win in round robin against a playoff team was yesterday over the Czech Republic. But it was a big win. They came in needing to hold the Czech Republic to 2 runs or less, so that on the run differential with the teams log jammed in 5-2 records, they came out on top and earned the big double life. Very important. So like the old newspaper headline, reports of their demise greatly exaggerated.
Yeah, this tournament is still going to, in part, go through the New Zealand Black Sox.
Down on strikes goes Cruz, or embellished. So 2 out in the inning. Rosario still down at first. That'll bring up Angel Santana.
Jim, the winner of this one will go on to face Team Canada. A big 8-3 win over Australia a little bit earlier this evening, and a generous part of the crowd that was here for Team Canada hanging around to watch the New Zealand Black Sox in the Dominican Republic here.
7,823 people at the gate tonight. Have to think tomorrow would be in that vicinity. Not an empty seat.
Well, particularly if it's the Black Sox, the arch rivals in this sport, Canada and New Zealand. It doesn't get any bigger than that in this particular sport.
Swing and a miss late is Santana. 0-2, Shannon ahead. So skipper Mark Sorensen getting everything and more out of Heine Shannon. Just 2 hits for the Dominican Republic. Down on strikes he goes on a pitch way out of the strike zone. So the Dominican Republic doing something they did not do during round robin. They're pressing a bit. We'll be back for the top half of the fifth right after this.
Back to the top of the shop for the New Zealand Black Sox here as we get into the fifth inning. Holding on to this 3-0 lead, but having to do anything against Yanier Volquez as he's come on the only runner to reach base. It was Cole Evans getting aboard on an error in the fourth. Other than that, a clean slate for Volquez. Just missing outside.
Ben, as we said, with 3 home runs in the tournament, I don't know of any other clubs with a leadoff hitter like that. Came in with a 300 average. He's improved on that already tonight.
Up and into Benny. Not only does he bring the power and the speed, but a great, great eye at the plate. Will let the ball travel through the zone. His power zone really is from center field over to right. He can pull the ball, but typically Benny Anoka will hit it to shortstop in this particular occurrence.
Benny, another of the junior program graduates. Kyle Smith and I saw him in Whitehorse in 2008. He and Thomas, along with Campbell Macchia.
So Rosario, who came on to run for Serge LaHose, stays in the game at first base. And you got to wonder about the health of Serge. You saw him slow up on that, what ended up just being a trot down to first base and just barely being out to play. And if he's out for an extended period, Jim, that is a big hole in the offense for the Dominican Republic.
Well, it is. There are lots of singles on their club, but it's been 3-4, Ortiz and LaHose, that have been producing the runs. To this point, Shannon able to face them with nobody aboard. That's been a key to the Black Sox success.
Jim, want to say hi to Wiramu Tamaki, our good friend Wu, tuning in with us down in New Zealand. And Wu, certainly no disrespect was meant to Frankie Perez. Just he's been ambling around the park here all week long. As this one laced out to center field, deep off the fence. Jerome Romaki will come up to second base, and he's going to reach down and grab the left leg.
Blair Mark Sorensen coming out to check on his youngster. He saw it too. He was on the field right after the hand went down to the leg.
Well, he slowed up about 2 steps from second base and immediately went to the left leg. And he almost went down to the calf, Jim, and I wonder if he's just either got a cramp or maybe strained something as he slowed up going into second base. Mark, for now, content to leave him out there. And you see him leaving that one up in the zone. One hop the fence and then pulling into second base. Ramaki, you're not going to see. Oh, there it is, just as he gets into second base. So Thomas Anoka will step in. A K forwards and a K backwards for Thomas on the night. Looking to get off the schneid. Big cut, and again, it just can't figure out Volquez right now.
It's a good drop ball with late movement.
Chopper on the infield. Randy Alvarez going upstairs to get it. Throws him out easily at first base. That is some good defense there and a good vertical by Randy Alvarez. Brad Rona sharing the same fate as Thomas Anoka so far this evening. A K forwards and a K backwards. It is extraordinarily rare to see that in the Brad Rona scoring column.
Well, the first one came at the hands of Bautiste, and the second, I believe, was Volquez.
Outside to Brad Rona. These are the kind of situations that you typically associate with Brad driving in this run, changing places with Jerome Ramaki. Chopper on the infield. Alvarez gets all three of them. The double stranded, and we'll head to the home half of the fifth inning. The Dominican trailing by 3, coming to the plate.
Home half of the fifth for the Dominican Republic. First pitch swinging, a little fly ball out to left field. Thomas Anoka will make quick work of that. 1 out. 7-8-9 for the Dominican Republic. Still unable to figure out Heine Shannon. Just 2 hits in the game for the Dominican Republic club that is second out of 15 teams, right behind unbeaten Canada.
Jim, a defensive change for the Black Sox. Campbell Macchia on to play right field for Nathan Nukunuku.
Macchia at one point in his career was a catcher when he was down in that junior program.
Yeah, they converted him to an outfielder shortly after that. He can also play some first base. Did a stint in North America last year with the Toronto Gators. and a project, I think, for Mark Sorensen. There's a ton of potential there. He is the fastest guy on the Black Sox, actually.
High fly ball, deep left center field, but Inoka going over at the warning track makes the catch and backs up against the wall. So the 8-hitter, Julio Diaz, puts a charge in one, but the flags showing the wind still blowing in at least lightly keeps that one in the park.
That might have been the difference maker, as Diaz, as you said, Jim, put a charge into it. I think that ball died up in the winds, blowing right into the face of the batters.
I think during the day that ball's out of the park. Here you see it on the replay. Shannon looking at the flight of it. Inoka going way back against the fence. So 2 quick outs for Heine Shannon on fly balls. To the 9 spot we go, Randy Alvarez.
Benny making that catch in what has effectively come the Black Sox fan zone out there just to the offset of the scoreboard. Lots of the parents of the Black Sox out there, signs and vuvuzelas.
And the flag flying, the distinctive silver fern. Swing and a miss. There's the outside part of the plate. He has owned it all night long. There it is again. Takes a little bit off that one. Chasing a pitch out of the strike zone. Dominican Republic continuing to press. We'll head to the 6th. Still 3-0 New Zealand.
So Nathan Nuku gets introduced as Pablo Ortiz, as our PA address announcer forgets to flip over his score sheet. Nate back in the game, substituting back in for Campbell Macchia. So just a quick rest for Nate. And this one clips Nate, and he probably wishes Campbell had stayed in the game after that. Taking that one in the ankle, so hit by pitch.
You notice Serge Laflemme following him all the way down to the bag out there, trying to make sure there's...
Nate faking a move around Serge just for a bit of a laugh. Hopefully everybody got the gag.
Number 29, I'll get this one right, Wayne.
Wayne Laulu will step in. Wayne hit a major league fly ball to left field. Nate looking over at Mark Sorensen for some signs. He's flexing that right leg where he just took that pitch from Yanier Volquez. Lalu turns to square, surprises everybody in the park, and diving into second base somewhat unnecessarily goes Nate Nukunuku.
So the captain down at second base, and I can't think of a time I've seen Wayne Lalu showing bunt, but it works.
Well, it was a Twitter discussion in the Canada game. Would Canada be willing to play the small ball to move the runners around against Adam Volquez? And Nate doing the Steve Lyons, getting undressed out there on the field.
They run that clip. I think they've been running that one for 10 years.
Oh, at least, yeah. The question asked in Canada, will Canada bunt to move the runners around against Adam Volquez? And this one gets away from Freddie Moretta, this time getting into the base the conventional way, not face first, Nate Nukunuku. So moving 120 feet, one pitch at a time.
That's going to bring a visit from the skipper, Frankie Perez. I think just trying to settle things down.
And, Jim, the answer to that in the Canada game is you've got a bunch of guys on that team, no matter where they're hitting in the lineup for Team Canada 1 through 9, most of those guys hit 3, 4, 5 on their club teams. They don't spend a lot of time bunting, and really it is a lost art. They don't practice it a whole lot, and, for better or worse, they're going to rely on hitting balls hard, hitting balls out of the park, but getting balls in play, but with a full swing.
Well, the numbers they're putting up at the top of the list in hits and home runs and doubles, they are producing runs in a big way, much to the delight of the hometown crowd.
Well, and today was a huge hurdle for this team, winning a playoff game, something they've been unable to do at a Pan Am qualifier or at ISF or WBSC event for the past couple of years.
Well, and I think you could almost feel it in the crowd. Fans remember the Paraná qualifier where they went undefeated through the round robin, and then Australia comes out, posts a couple of runs right off the bat, and it's like, here we go again. But that didn't last long. They tied it at 2, and then, of course, the big 3-run shot by Jason Hill, who is continuing his torrid pace of hitting.
Ball forward to Wayne Laulu, so runners on the corners for Stephen Ratu.
It was the walk that was the downfall for the Dominican Republic. The Black Sox only 5 hits in the game, but those 2 walks coming in, 2 of the 3 runs scoring that way.
Ratu turns squares and puts down a beauty. It's a squeeze, and scoring is Nate Nukunuku. And Nukunuku pointing back to Coach Mark Sorensen, putting that one on. And I don't think too many people were expecting that out of Stephen Ratu.
Well, we talked about Frankie Perez. Frankie did that a couple of times during the round robin. Can't help wondering whether Mark Sorensen had the book on that, thought he would turn the table on Frankie. Perfect time to do it now, 4-0.
Just
Black
seemed to
Sox.
freeze the Dominican Republic. Nobody knew which way to go, where to turn. Cole Evans at the plate. He turns to bunt.
Corners coming in, shortstop. Randy Alvarez going over to third base on that. Everybody moving.
And, Jim, this is the difference really between the Dominican and New Zealand right now. It's experience. The Dominican Republic hasn't been in this tournament in a number of years. New Zealand, obviously, a perennial contender. And this one is popped up by Ratu. Freddie Moretta is going to run over third baseman Juan Tomas Nunez to make that catch. And a little bit of an experience there, obviously, in the part of Cole Evans. But the Black Sox in general just have that aura about them when they get into this tournament. And you're seeing it here.
Starts with the skipper, Mark Sorensen, doing a good job of getting his team back on track after that slow start.
Tyson Byrne at the plate with runners at first and second. Byrne had a notion to slap. And that really is Tyson's game, the slap game, punching it over the shortstop into short left field. Wayne Laulu runs pretty well for a big man. That's one inside to Byrne. It gets away from Moretta, and now everybody's going to move up 60 feet.
The Dominican Republic, a very poised team, even against the top opponents, Australia and Venezuela. Feeling the pressure here on the playoff round.
Yeah, and we talked about that at the beginning of the game. Force the Dominican Republic into mistakes, use their experience, and that's what the Black Sox are doing right now. And it seems to be working as the Dominican just unraveling a little bit. Chase them back, take a look. Catching that line drive, Randy Alvarez. That's good defense, just couldn't get the second out of it.
I'm peeking for the replay to see if it was coming. Beautiful play by the shortstop. A bit of Omar Vizquel. Wrong country, but same glove.
Yes, and there's a number of Dominican players you could probably pick for their gloves. None will come to mind immediately, of course. 2-out catcher replacement rule. Tyson Byrne will go out to second base to run for Steven Ratu. Back to the top of the shop. Benny Anoka, 2 for 3, as you just saw. 2 RBIs on the night, opportunity to add some more, and this one is just punched out into short center. Here comes one, here's the throw, the plate, Benny Anoka drives in another 2 runs, and the New Zealand Black Sox take full control of this one now with a 6-0 lead.
And that'll bring another visit from Frankie Perez. I think we will have a pitching change. While we wait for that, we'll give you a break. This is a Ballpark Broadcasting pitching change for, or not. He stopped short of the foul line there. We'll wait and see for sure. And now the ball given up by Volquez. We'll take a break.
Cesar Perez in to face Jerome Ramaki. Ben Anoka out at second base. Benny on the night 3 for 4 with 4 RBIs, in contention for the Ballpark Broadcasting Player of the Game. First pitch swinging, Ramaki drives this one to the gap. That's going to roll to the fence. No sign of a leg injury here as Ramaki is going to come over to third base, and in those last 2 steps again as he decelerates, looks a little awkward getting into third base.
You know, he looked like he might head for home, and then just a couple of steps short of the bag sort of pulled up lame, and it was the same way he did at second base, reaching for the low part of the leg. So we'll keep an eye on him, but the Black Sox continue to add to it now. 7 runs, 7-0.
Thomas Anoka will step in. Tommy looking to get on the board for the Black Sox. A couple of strikeouts, made some contact his last at bat.
Perez just 6 innings of work throughout the first 7 days of the tournament, so Volquez and Batiste have been doing most of the pitching. 6 strikeouts in those 6 innings. Give you an idea of the velocity and command he has over the hitters.
Perez throws hard, and this guy, you talk about Yanier Volquez being a project. This guy is a real diamond in the rough. He throws hard. He's got good velocity, but control something else. And we saw him come on the other night and hit a couple of batters and a wild pitch, and some runs came around and kind of got ugly when he was in the game for a very short period of time. Taken back out. That was against Australia.
4 walks in just 6 innings, so control issues.
You don't have hit by pitch in that stat box there, do you?
Nope, I was looking.
And this one, Jim, we got to play. And just off to our right and out of play.
A chance to redeem yourself, Mr. Setford.
Well,
I heard about your play.
I would have had to reach across you there, which is how I didn't get the last one when Lance Wynn jumped in front of me. Defensive obstruction.
I heard a different story.
Yeah, from Lance, no doubt.
He was embellishing, I think.
They're going to ask, but no. So Thomas Anoka works a walk.
Number 15.
Brad Rona at the plate. I think just re-entering Brad, perhaps.
Brad Rona.
Although he hasn't been on base, so I don't know where he would have been taken out. Oh, I know what that was. Sorry, let me get to that one. It was Campbell Anoka who went into Brad Rona's spot in the order. It was Nathan Nuku.
Campbell Makia?
Yeah, Campbell Makia, yes. Went in for Brad, went out to play right field, and Nate had come down to play first. Inside.
It's a great setup they have with that 5th umpire. Makes it easier for the gentleman on the field to focus on the game. An extra umpire to handle all that kind of business and paperwork.
There you see Serge Laflemme from Lévis, Quebec. And Rona punches this one by Jose Bueno. He picks up an RBI as Ramaki will come in to score. Moving up to third base on the play goes Thomas Anoka, and it's all Black Sox all the time right now.
Great throw coming in from right field by Pablo Ortiz, playing like it's a zip game. Sorensen now down behind home plate with our home plate umpire Serge Laflemme.
Well, no, actually that's the off
I'm
field.
sorry?
Yeah. So
Serge Laflemme standing on the foul line. We talked about Bob Henning, one of the longtime umpires. Serge started umpiring at the age of 13 and has worked the Olympic Games, 6 world tournaments, over 60 international events. So one of the veterans with a long resume.
Jovan Hanley will come on to run for Brad Rona, and I believe Josh Harbrow is going to come to the plate for Nate Nuku. Indeed, it is Harbrow. So the subs getting into the action here for the Black Sox. Harbrow has started, I think, 2 of the last 3 games, Jim, and has done a good job. Hit a Titanic home run out to left the other day.
Yeah, I had one of the, in fact, I think I had that ball game.
Coming in with a changeup, called a strike for Perez.
Great to have players like Harbrough that you can start or pull off the bench, especially as the tournament wears on. We're now in day 8 of 10 as we head down the home stretch.
And a bat around inning for the Black Sox as Harbrough. Just trying to guide that one in. Harbrough and Nuku's spot. It was Nuku who was hit by a pitch.
Yeah, Harbrough with 5 hits, 4 RBIs. So for a part-time player, pretty good tournament.
Upstairs, Moretta having a handful with Cesar Perez. Black Sox have pounded out 8 hits for their 8 runs, 1 error, no runs on 2 hits, and the 1 error for the Dominican. And a changeup. Harbrow able to keep the hands back, but can't square it up. Thomas Anoka is out at third. Jovan Hanley at first for the Black Sox.
Reminder on the run rule, it is 7 after 5. We are in the top half of the 6th inning now with an 8-0 lead by New Zealand.
One hopper on the infield over to third baseman Nunez, and across to first for the out. Harbrow 5-3. New Zealand breaks this one wide open with a 5 spot in the 6th. It's the Black Sox 8 and the Dominican Republic no score.
3 hits, no errors, 2 men left on base. 5 points, 3 coups sûrs, aucune erreur, les 2 hommes laissés sur le but.
Jim, a little rain starting to fall here in Saskatoon as this game coming up to 11 p.m.
Well, we've had scorching heat, forest fires, smoke, a bit of rain, waiting on the locusts somewhere.
There'll be some frogs and some hail by morning.
Top of the order for the Dominican Republic, it'll start with Bueno. Third time through against Shannon. They have not figured him out yet. Just 2 hits on the evening for a club that is second in the tournament, right behind the leader, Canada.
Well, they got to get a couple of runs here this inning, or this game is going to be over on the run rule.
In for a called strike. High pop fly giving chase, second baseman Byrne going back, but it'll be Campbell Macchia coming on to make the catch. Out number 1. If the score holds, and it certainly looks like it will at some point, the Dominican Republic would play tomorrow afternoon. They would take on Venezuela. Second day in a row, a battle for South America. Venezuela winner today over Argentina. And, of course, the Black Sox would play host unbeaten Canada in the feature. That one's sure to pack the house. Actually, Jovan Hanley out in right field on that last catch.
7,800 people here today to witness Team Canada's win over Australia. And a lot of people here very fondly remember Australia and Adam Volquez for their victory back in 2009 when Saskatoon last hosted this tournament. Adam Volquez, a no-hitter in that championship game against these New Zealand Black Sox. And a core contingent of Aussie Steeler fans are here. Not as big as last time from what I'm told, but still making a lot of noise. But a very pro-Canada crowd here this afternoon, and good to see setting a record here at Bob Van Imp.
Nunez, the batter, in the 2 spot. We talked about it at the outset. They needed to get runners on in front of Ortiz and LaHose, the 3-4 hitters. They've been unable to do it, and you see the result on the scoreboard. The Dominican Republic just a couple of outs away from suffering their second loss, the only other loss in the tournament. 6-4 at the hands of the red, white, and blue. Foul tip, that one will be out of play. And Blair, that gives me a good opportunity to remind you that tomorrow is the 4th of July and that I honored Canada Day on the 1st with red and white.
I'm going to have to go out and buy some red, white, and blue tomorrow.
The shirts will be waiting in the lobby for you.
Stars and Stripes forever.
Stars and Stripes for all the crew.
That's great. I am totally looking forward to it.
I want to see you walk in for the Canada-New Zealand game with the shirt on.
Just want to let you know I look much better in down stripes as opposed to horizontal stripes.
Sorry, they're horizontal.
Can I wear it sideways?
Nunez with a 1-2 count. Shannon trying to close things out and wrap up a complete game victory. It's been an outstanding performance by the left-hander. Swing and a miss on a ball out of the zone. That's been the story for the last few innings. And for the 3rd time tonight, Ortiz, who came in with a .468 average, one of the leading hitters in the entire tournament, 11 hits. Looking at the bases empty. Can't hit an 8-run homer. So it looks like the Dominican Republic will have to regroup, but certainly they'll have a motivation factor facing Venezuela. That'll be a rematch of a game played, was it yesterday or day before, Blair?
It was on the last day of the round robin.
I think that was yesterday.
I think that was. I don't even know what day today is, Jim.
The Dominican Republic coming away with a win on that, so they'll want to repeat. Down the left field line, giving chase down there is Thomas Inoka.
Well, they'll have to repeat if they want to stay alive in this tournament. When you get down into that part of the bracket, you win, you stay in, you lose, and you're a spectator.
Well, that is the great advantage of the double life, and the Dominican Republic worked very hard for theirs. So despite what appears to be a loss here tonight, they will march on with a chance to play tomorrow. Foul out of play down the left side. That one caroms off a set of empty bleachers. Those were full today for Canada.
And for much of this game as well. A lot of people bailing after the 5-run 6th. So, Jim, the ballpark broadcasting player of the game, I know we've discussed a couple of guys. Your thoughts?
Well, I think Shannon certainly honorable mention, but on my book, Thomas Inoka, 3 for 4, 4 RBI. Outstanding performance, swinging strike on a ball out of the zone. Your choice, Blair?
I'm going to go with Benny Inoka. I think that's who you meant.
I'm sorry?
Benny Inoka, 3 for 4, 4 RBIs, setting the tone for the Black Sox. And indeed, the Black Sox wrap this one up. Rounding into form is the leadoff stick for New Zealand. And Canada had best beware of a Ben Inoka who is on form. It will be a rematch tomorrow, Canada, New Zealand at 5:30 p.m. Prior to that, Japan and Australia at 12:30, the Dominican and Venezuela at 3. All these great games brought to you tomorrow by Ballpark Broadcasting.
Before I let you go off the air, let me put you on the spot and ask you for predictions on pitchers for tomorrow's feature, Canada and New Zealand.
Sean Cleary for Canada, without a doubt. I think Mark Sorensen comes back with Heine Shannon again. I really think he does.
That's my prediction as well. Shannon pitched very well first time out, and probably for the same reason that Sorensen used them tonight against a hard-hitting team from the Dominican.
Lights out tonight. 2 hits. Off the top of my head, I think it was 9 or 10 Ks for Heine Shannon in a 6-inning game, almost 2 per inning. And the grizzled veteran showing his mettle here tonight. And Canada had best beware because he's got lots more spins and everything else ready for them.
Also that left-handed factor, a lot of lefties in that Team Canada lineup. The Black Sox you see on your screen waving their hats at that big contingent out in left center field. They've been there all night. They'll go home happy. We'll be back tomorrow. Day 9 coming up. Some more great action as we head towards Medal Sunday. For Blair Setford, I'm Jim Flanagan. For Kyle Smith, Joe Todd, Lance Wynn, and the crew of Sports Canada TV. We'll see you tomorrow.